To the field of dreams in Iowa. It is for the presidential candidates, the Iowa State Fair, the center of the political world this weekend. And our Capitol reporter, Forrest Saunders, is joining us right now live from Des Moines tonight. Forrest, DeSantis, not the only Florida official running for the White House. Miami Mayor Francis Suarez is there, but his presidential dreams are sort of running into reality.
Yeah, that's absolutely the case here. I mean, today was a really big day for the Miami mayor. He needs to make a very big impression on Iowans, and he has a short amount of time to do it because as it stands right now, he still does not qualify for that RNC debate, which is coming up later this month. And if he doesn't get on that stage, he's not going to get the exposure nationally, and he desperately needs it. Friday was Miami Mayor Francis Suarez's first time at the Iowa State Fair.
Well, welcome, Mayor.
And he did have fans, but even they had their doubts.
I think the saddest, I don't think he has a chance because he doesn't have the name and he's not well known.
Suarez has struggled to break through since announcing in June, and it could soon cost him dearly, nixing a spot on that coveted RNC debate stage later this month. He still lacks the 1% polling needed, now saying he's doing everything in the next 10 days to qualify.
If you don't make the debate stage in your campaign?
I feel confident that I'm going to make the debate stage over the next 10 days, and I'll decide it then. But I have said that, I don't think candidates should just sort of linger around if they don't have a credible path.
Meanwhile, former Vice President Mike Pence leaning hard on his faith, experience, and Midwestern roots for a second day with fairgoers, and it looks to be rubbing off.
Vice President Pence is he's kind of a salt-of-the-earth type person. He's down to earth and kind of fits right in, and you just have really good conversations with him. And
Pence Friday renewed vows to dissolve the federal ed department and enact a national ban on gender dysphoria treatments. He also mentioned his old running mate, but just once.
I was always loyal to President Donald Trump until the day came that my oath to the Constitution required me to do otherwise. But I'll always be proud of the record of the Trump-Pence administration.
Iowans also got a chance to get to know their neighbor to the north, North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum. Unlike his opponents, the Republican said he won't take swings at GOP rivals, though the entrepreneur and state leader did offer a little shade in general.
This is the most important job in the world, and like a dozen people are applying, and some of them have never worked in the private sector. Some of them have never worked in government. I mean, I think we don't even have 12 qualified candidates.
Time will tell if this message resonates with Iowans, who will get a chance to meet this year's heavy hitters on Saturday. Both Governor Ron DeSantis and Trump set to make an appearance. Now, both of those candidates will have struggles of their own when they come here to the fair. You probably have heard that former President Trump has been hit by a federal judge on somewhat of a censure. He can't talk as much as he'd like to about the 2020 election, specifically with regards to that federal indictment. And then Governor Ron DeSantis, he's in the middle of yet another reboot, and he recently had to shake up his campaign staff, tapping his chief of staff to come from the state side and come over into the campaign. And James Uthmeyer does not have a lot of presidential experience, so it's going to be an interesting day on Saturday, Paul.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Forrest, there are reports that at least one of the governor's campaign stops in Iowa this morning was interrupted by some folks with a megaphone chanting some insults at him. Is that typical in Iowa, or does it get a little chippy there this time of year when they're going through their process of assessing these candidates?
As much as everyone says Iowa nice, I can attest to it. It is true, it does exist, but politics is politics. And yeah, that did happen today. We saw some protesters shouting pudding fingers at Governor Ron DeSantis. And it was basically kind of halting his ability to kind of speak at this press event. That happens. That happens here. It happens everywhere. And there are a lot of tensions in this 2024 cycle. So I bet you can expect more of it in the future.
Yeah, and meanwhile, how much more time do you think the governor is going to spend there in Iowa compared to the other states that are early on the calendar, like New Hampshire and South Carolina? We had heard that DeSantis and his wife might have been renting a home in South Carolina, that may be a state that they're wanting to put a lot of energy into.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to, because if you do happen to have a good showing in Iowa, you're going to take it on to New Hampshire and South Carolina, and you want to have that momentum ready to go. You want to have that ground game ready to go. because if you just do well in Iowa, it doesn't mean much if you can't deliver in those other primary states. I expect, though, that he will be spending a lot more time in Iowa even after the Iowa State Fair, because the caucus is a must-win for him. He has to at least come in a very close second place or an upset victory if he wants to stay in this race.
He's promised to go to all 99 counties in Iowa. For Saunders joining us live from Des Moines tonight. Appreciate it, sir. Well.